All right, guys. So in this edition of Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff World, we have to talk about this absolutely insane and embarrassing interview featuring Piers Morgan and Marianne Williamson, who is running for president of the United States against Joe Biden. Okay, she's running in the Democrat Party primary. If you guys didn't know, a lot of you probably didn't know because she's irrelevant, and also the media is not going to cover it because they don't want anybody really challenging Biden. Okay, she's getting the RFK treatment, right? But unlike RFK, who sometimes makes sense, right, on some issues, Marianne Williamson doesn't ever really make sense. Okay, she is a woke progressive who is not grounded in any type of reality, and people like this should be let nowhere near the office of the United States president. And this interview right here with Piers Morgan proves it, because he's going to talk to her about what should be a layup issue for any politician in this country, which is the issue of gender and sex. Okay, if you are a common sense, sane person, okay, this is a layup issue, right? But because Marianne Williamson apparently is not that, either she's not sane or she doesn't want to upset her progressive base. She's not even going to be able to define what a woman is when asked about what is a woman, which, again, is the toughest question you can ask a Democrat, right? So, without further ado, I actually want to go ahead and react to this video. But before I get into it, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you know, support my channel, you can check out my merch at gforemanbcp.com. You can get 20% off using discount code TEAMBCP. So without further ado, let's get it.
A lot. Obviously, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I'd make a better president.
Right. I want to talk about a couple of issues with you, which are in the news, which you have quite strong views about. One, I want to play you a clip. This is the British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, who was heard on a leaked video talking about the big trans debate at the moment.
You may have noticed Ed Davey has been very busy. Like me, you have probably seen that he was busy trying to convince everybody that women clearly had penises. And I was reflecting, you all know I am a big fan of everybody studying maths to 18. But it turns out that we need to focus on biology to 18.
Again, facts. This is what everybody believes, even liberals behind closed doors, okay? But they don't really want to say it out loud because they know if they say it out loud, again, their progressive base of, woke revolutionaries, they're going to get upset. They're going to be mad.
So this has become a big thing, right? Along with the question, what is a woman? There's now a big debate where British political leaders have been asked about whether a woman can have a penis, and they've given varying answers. The British Prime Minister says no. The Labour leader says 99% of women do not. And the Liberal Democrat leader, who he was referencing there, says clearly women can have penises. On the face of it, this might seem a strange debate to be having, but what are the answers? I mean, you're a presidential candidate.
Well, in the United States, I think we are obviously going through a cultural transformation. People are getting more comfortable with the notion of gender fluidity, non-binary sexuality. For me, it's an issue of freedom. People get to be whoever they want to be, do whatever they want to do if it doesn't hurt anyone else. To me,
yeah, but see, here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. I'm all for freedom too, okay? But I'm not for freedom up into the point of insanity, right? Where up is down and down is up, and society is being basically cast into chaos, okay? Because I can make the same argument for freedom in regards to progressive criminal justice reform. Basically letting criminals loot and steal endlessly without locking them up because, hey, freedom, right? And that's racist to do so, right? But it's like, no, that causes chaos and destruction, right? We have to have laws in place that keep society organized and structured in a way that fits with reality and protects the freedoms of others, right? Because just like, the freedoms of a business owner to be able to sell his products without getting looted, you also have the freedom of women that, should have the right to be able to be in their own spaces, okay, and to play in their own sports without having to share that space or share competition or sport with biological men and boys.
We have to follow a North Star in our society. That North Star is the idea that all people are created equal. If you talk to me about a trans American, the part that matters to me is the word American. And so.
But what is a woman to you?
Listen, it's whatever at this point in somebody's culture, in American culture, certainly kind of whatever anyone says that it is.
Yeah, but it can't.
In American culture. I'm not sure I agree with that, right? I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't think that most people in America agree with that, right? Actually, there was a new poll last year that showed that 60% of Americans believe that people can't switch genders, right? Which was up. It was a 4-point increase from 2021, which was 56%, and it's a 6-point increase from 54% in 2017. Okay, this was done by Pew Research. I mean, 6% of U.S. adults say a person's gender is determined by their sex at birth. Okay, so yeah, I mean, again, there's this perception that people in this country agree with this stuff. Okay, a majority of people agree with this stuff, and I'm telling you, the problem is that you have liberals, again, people like Marianne Williamson, who's probably not a liberal, she's definitely progressive. But again, you have people like her who's smart enough to understand that this is not a thing, okay? This is doesn't make sense, but they can't say it out loud. So it makes it seem like, well, there are more people in this country that agree with this than actually do. Okay, and when you got establishment, when you got liberals that are afraid to speak up, when you got all these people who don't want to say the truth out loud because they don't want to be called transphobic. Yes, it makes it seem like most people in this country agree with something that they actually really don't agree with.
I know.
It can't be though.
Yes, it absolutely can. If people
you say until it hurts people, but if anyone can put their hand up and say they're a woman, we had a situation we had recently where the leader of the of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon of the Scottish National Party, she had to resign after putting a biological male into a women's prison. So there is obviously damage there from self-identity, isn't there?
Well, certainly, but I think the issue there was not the issue of the sexual.
What is the fact she felt that this male identified as a woman at his trial.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Right, simply to get into a women's prison.
Yeah,
that's wrong, right?
Well, yes, but then that's once you're talking about something like, then obviously it becomes relevant. It's not relevant.
What about sport?
Well, on sports, I do think we need to protect girls who were born as girls. If they are in a situation where somebody, obviously because of the size of their muscles and of their body, gives them an.
But that's all biological males.
Well, yes, that's sort of my point.
So you would stop. Well, hang on, just to clarify that, you would stop biological males competing against biological females?
Unless it can be proven. There are some situations where somebody, let's say they were born as a man, but they're a small man, right? And it can be proven through hormone testing, through muscle testing, and so forth, that there is no biological advantage. But, the other day I spoke at Cambridge University, and I noticed when I went into the area where the bathrooms were, that it said, use whatever bathroom you're more comfortable with. And I thought, oh my God, it could be that easy.
No, it's not that easy. Right? It's not that easy because of the implications that, again, you just went over, right? The prison example that Piers Morgan brought up, okay, when you're talking about women's sports. I mean, just the other day I was at the doctor's office with my grandma, right? And they had gender neutral restrooms, and my grandma was like, men and women can use the same bathroom. And it's so funny because she's like 85 years old, right? And her mind was so blown, right? She was like, what? And she just made the funniest face because she just knew how nonsensical it was, okay? It's just funny to me how these people always want to make the argument that, well, it can just be that easy just to go along with it, right? Just accept whatever, right? Accept whatever these woke people want. And it's like, no. Well, it's just as easy to accept reality, okay? Why don't you say that and tell them, hey, look, it's just as easy to accept reality that we organize our society by sex, and you just got to go along with what we've traditionally done and what has worked since the beginning of time, okay? Maybe we should just go along with that. That's easy, because if you do that, then you avoid situations like the prison example that Piers Morgan talked about. You avoid the whole women's sports situation. You avoid so many unnecessary situations, okay, if you just go along with what we've been doing. You're adding unnecessary confusion and, things that happen, unwanted consequences to society when you go along with this stuff. You're just making it more complicated than what it actually is. You really are.
So I think everybody needs to lighten up on this issue.
Well, it's fine, except it's hard to lighten up if you are, say, a female Olympic athlete and you're losing out on your place.
Well, that's
because a biological male who's 6'3" and built like an outhouse decides to take your slot by saying, hey, I'm a woman, which goes back to your initial thing that you should all be what you want to be. Well, sure, I want to be, I want to be a movie star, but I'm not.
Yeah, just lighten up, right? Lighten up. This biological male has just injured you, concussed you, right, while you're playing volleyball, right? Lighten up. Okay, I did a story about that. Lighten up. This biological male just ended your track career after you came back from a almost career-ending hip injury, right? And you came back your senior year, and you would have went to state finals or state championships had you not been competing against a biological male. Yeah, lighten up. You just lost the NCAA championship. Okay, you just lost the swimming tournament or whatever because a biological male is competing against you. You need to lighten up, right? Lighten up. You're too serious about this. Again, it's ridiculous, man. It really is. This interview right here is an embarrassment. Marianne Williamson, don't go to foreign news outlets, right, doing interviews embarrassing our country like this, okay? I mean, because, again, this is not representative of what most Americans think.
There's a reality check.
If you're talking about specific instances, such as sports, such as where somebody goes in prison, etc., then obviously these become issues that have to be deciding points. But there is another world out there, which it's not hurting anybody. It just has to do with somebody's desire to identify a certain way, the area where we need to culturally open our minds to the idea of fluidity in gender and so forth.
Yeah, and we're fine with that, right? Just don't force it on everybody else. Don't force it on everybody else with bathrooms. Don't force it on everybody else with sports, prisons. What else they be asking for, right? All the things they ask for, no. We don't want any of that stuff, okay? You're fine to, in your own home, right, in certain public spaces to a certain extent, to identify how you want to identify as. Fine. If you want to put a wig on and a dress and run around and say you're a woman, nobody cares. People only care when it comes to infringing on the rights of actual biological women. When it gets to the point now where you're trying to share spaces with them, you're taking away awards, opportunities away from them, that's when people have an issue. But yeah, if you want to sit in your house and wear a dress and call yourself a woman, nobody is saying that you should be thrown in jail for that. Nobody's saying you should be thrown in jail for getting surgery to, remove your genitalia or to change your genitalia. Nobody is advocating for that. You're free to be as trans as you want, just up to a certain extent.
And both can be true at the same time.
Well, I'm not sure it can, because I don't think you can have limitless self-identity without it infringing particularly on women's rights to equality and fairness. That's the problem with it. And that's why it sounds great to say, of course you can, but then you end up with that ridiculous woman, Rachel Dolezal, who decided to identify as black. Well, if you have limitless self-identity, why can't you?
I think that somehow we have to find that balance in ourselves as well as our society.
As a lawmaker who wants to be the first female president of the United States, what's the balance? Because you either allow it or you don't.
No, I disagree with you. As president, I think my responsibility is to the notion of all people created equal. I, as president, quite the opposite of what you just said. As president, hey, I want the whole notion of my presidency would be, please be who you want to be, do what you want to do, spread your wings and soar. If you get to the point where you're infringing on the rights of other people, you're going to have a hard time with me.
How would you feel if a...
Yeah, so again, I don't understand why... Why are you not standing up for women who are having their rights infringed upon? Right? I don't understand.
If a man a male politician decided to suddenly identify as female and became the first woman president of the United States,
I'd be like, damn, but that wouldn't mean...
You wouldn't just be damned. You'd be like, what?
I don't think...
You'd be horrified.
But that doesn't mean I think it would be illegal or that it should...
I didn't say it'd be illegal.
Again, so nobody's saying that it should be illegal. It's just what people are saying from a public policy standpoint. How much of this should we go along with? Okay, should we capitulate to? Right? And this woman, she knows, alleged woman, we really don't know. Okay, we really don't know here. I don't want to assume. But this alleged woman is basically pretending like she doesn't understand that, right? Because again, she doesn't want to upset her woke progressive base, who are a minority in this country. I don't understand. I really don't. But she knows. Again, she knew that, wow, if a biological male identifies as a woman and then they end up becoming president of the United States, and you have to call them the first woman president. She knows that, again, that would be messed up. That would be extremely messed up.
Legal. That's the whole point.
No.
The whole
Listen,
point, Madam would-be president, is it's perfectly legal.
I think, well, that's my
it's
point.
just wrong.
I
isn't
don't
it?
even think it's wrong. It's just I think we'd all down a few glasses of wine that night. We wouldn't be real happy about it. But
Usain Bolt wants to.
So again, if you don't think it's wrong, you don't think it should be illegal, why would you be mad about it? Right? Because deep down, she knows that is not right. She knows it's not right. But again, she can't say it. You can't say it because you're going to upset your voters. It's so sad. It really is.
To run as a woman in the Olympic 100 meters. You going to allow it?
No, I believe that this thing with sports, we must protect those who when you see these girls who were born as girls and they have worked so hard,
Right.
Obviously, and I think most people see that.
Quickly about reparations.
Yeah. Let's get into
Yes.
this.
We've had lots of debates on the show about this whole issue. I have to admit, I come from a position, I don't see why people today should be compensated for sins against their ancestors, some cases centuries ago. Explain to me why I'm wrong.
Because it's not just about you. It's about the responsibility that you have as a citizen to the fate of your country. And whether you are an individual or a nation, you're not going to have the future you want if you don't clean up the past.
So should but on that then, should I be claiming money back as someone in Britain from the Italians for what the Romans did, from the Normans for what they did, from the Vikings, for their forebears? Now, should I be claiming reparations from all of them? And if not, what's the difference?
Yeah, because if you give black people reparations, you can have everybody coming out the woodwork talking about how they was wrong, right? You can have them say, I was wrong. Irish Americans are going to say, hey, I was discriminated against, okay? I mean, we were discriminated against. We were damn near slaves at one point too, right? They just called them indentured servants, a.k.a. You only can call black people slaves, right? White people who were slaves, you call them indentured servants to push the narrative that only black people were slaves. When effectively, there were white people that damn near basically were slaves, okay? But again, they don't talk about it. That's a piece of history they don't really want to get into. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have people out the woodwork from every, group talking about how they were done wrong and that they need some payout.
I'll tell you what the difference is. There is no way that a modern Brit is being economically disadvantaged by something that the Vikings did. Well, I think it's been a long, long time.
You don't know. There might be people.
Slavery's been a long, long time. Is anybody in America, any black person in America, economically disadvantaged? Truly say that you're in your economic position because of slavery? Can anybody really say that? Any black person really say that here in America? I don't know about Britain. I can't speak for British black people. I only speak here. Can anybody really say that? Seriously. Is slavery more of a factor in regards to your economic circumstances than your own individual choices in 2023? 150 years removed, right? 150 years removed from slavery. I'm just saying, right? I don't think anybody can really make that argument.
In the middle of Britain,
No.
who are still suffering the appalling
it is
financial injury of what the Romans did to their families.
Let me answer your question. It is very obvious that there has been intergenerational hardship financially. The gap between blacks and whites that is so egregious in America today is a legacy not only of slavery, not only almost 250 years of slavery, but also of almost 100 years since then of institutionalized suppression of black people. This is 350
But at what point do we
years.
stop feeling guilty about the past?
After we've paid our debt.
Or paying for the past.
Yeah, but see, the problem is after you pay your debt, they're still going to say that you're guilty, okay? You're still going to be guilty as a white liberal, especially you, Marianne Williamson. As a white liberal woman, they'll call you a Karen in a minute. They will destroy you in a minute, okay? But once you pay them out, they're going to spend the money on nonsense, and then they're going to come back with their hands out 5 years later when they're broke talking about how you owe me more, right? You owe me more because systemic racism still exists. I'm just saying, this is that's the game here.
There's a difference
But
between...
Marianne, here's my point. It never stops. Once
There you
you
go.
uncork that bottle,
You need to
you
let me
end up
talk.
never stopping.
You need to let me talk. There's a difference between blame and responsibility. I don't feel I need to feel guilty. My parents came from Russia and Poland, my grandparents. So it's not about my grandparents. It's not about my feeling guilty. It is about my feeling responsible for the well-being of my nation. Germany paid over $89 billion to Jewish organizations.
Yeah, but they was responsible, right? They was responsible. You're asking people who are not responsible to pay. Germany was responsible. Every time they bring it, I'm like, yeah, but they were responsible. And it also happened immediately after the Holocaust, right? Again, we're 150 years removed from slavery. It's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different.
After World War
That's
II.
true.
And I think that financial remuneration has had a lot to do with not only the financial, but even more importantly, the psychological and emotional healing between Germany and the Jews of Europe. And this is a healing that we have not had. That war was over in 1945. Ours was over in 1865, and we still take this toxic baton and we pass it generation
You
to
make a good point.
generation.
I need a one-word answer to this question to wrap things, okay? Should Donald Trump, if he gets convicted of a federal crime and actually goes to prison, the Constitution says he can still be president of the United States. Should he be allowed to be?
It's not about, the law is the law. Would it be disappointing? Would it be awful for the country? Yes, but if it's legal, it's legal.
Marianne Williamson, great to see you.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, so again, she's a Looney Tune, right? She's pro reparations. She doesn't seem to know what a woman is, okay? And if you are a woman and you don't know what a woman is, but you're getting mad if a man who identifies as a woman becomes president because you know in your mind what a woman actually is and that's not a woman, it tells you everything you need to know about this individual, okay? This is just a standard politician trying to play the game. No real beliefs, right? No real values that she's standing up for. She's just trying to get elected. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.